Everyone wants to take their business, their skills, to the next level. Small and mid-sized business owners have exceptional insight into how to do this. They endure and thrive because they find ways to overcome the challenges that come their way, and they can teach us valuable lessons to apply to our own companies and lives. Stephen Nooner, founder and owner of Alkali, a company with a unique process that helps businesses more effectively buy and manage their insurance programs. And Bob Gibbons, builder of Riata Commercial Realty, a real estate advisor and tenant advocate, are two prominent Metroplex businessmen who, along with their weekly guests, will ask their and your probing questions, finding impactful solutions that will help you reach for the next level. Here are your hosts, Stephen Nooner and Bob Gibbons.
Welcome to the next level. This is your host, Bob Gibbons.
And I'm your host, Stephen Nooner, and we've got a great show for you today. I'm excited to introduce my friend, Sean Duncan, with SMD Accounting. He is the founder and president. They're based in Frisco, Texas, and they pride themselves as not being your typical CPA. We're going to talk more about what that means. They currently employ 10 people. And if you'd like to learn more about Sean or SMD, please visit smdaccounting.com. Thank you for having a URL that I don't have to spell.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
We try to make it easy.
He's not good at that.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks.
Glad you're here with us. We always like to try, we always do start.
We like to try.
We like to try. We don't always do it well, but we do it. We always start with the wisdom of others, and that means we start with a quote from somebody else. And so today we're actually going to use one of your quotes. And Mark Twain said, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything.
Yep.
What do you like that one for?
I'm lazy, and the less I have to remember, the better I am. No, it's a good mantra to live by. If we do the right things all the time, there's no covering your tracks. There's nothing that you have to do. You just act in the best interests of your clients or yourself, your family. It's really, really easy. So if I just tell you the truth, I don't have to remember what lie I told you. And learned that a long time ago, and it's made life easy.
Does that mean you're going to do never make a mistake?
No. You tell the truth when you make the mistake, and that way you can clear the mistake up. Because if you're busy hiding, it doesn't work. It's just easier to do things right and move on to the next step.
I love that quote, that mantra. For me, it's because I can't remember anything. It's just I learned really early that I was a terrible liar, so I learned at a young age that it just doesn't work for me.
It's just a lot of work.
Me.
Well, it's also a lot less stress because the truth will set you free.
Amen. But the quote that I thought you were going to go with is, do or do not, there is no try.
Do or do not, there is no try.
Yeah, but you don't know you've never watched a Star Wars, I'm sure, because you've never watched Karate Kid.
Karate Kid, who would want to watch that? But I mean, other than some nerd. But
okay, wait, you've not watched Star Wars?
No, I have.
Okay.
Just not the last 4.
You lose citizenship by not watching Star Wars.
Just checking.
I watched the first 3.
And then the newest one.
Never. No. Oh. I mean, I might, but
New
I
one's
haven't.
pretty good.
New one's
pretty good. We just watched it.
Yeah, I'm a big Star Wars nerd.
So, Sean, tell us something about yourself that not everybody knows.
So many secrets.
No, you just said you didn't have any.
No, I didn't say. There's a difference. I don't lie.
There's a difference.
He doesn't lie. He just may not say much.
If you don't tell the secret, it's not a lie.
Okay.
You know, I think the one that a lot of people don't realize is the only reason I'm an accountant, the only reason I have an accounting degree is I was going in the FBI. That was my sole purpose in life, was to become a special agent with the Bureau. And ultimately, I turned them down in 2013. I had my final interview scheduled, the whole shebang, and then looked up and realized it was more important to be dad than it was to chase bad guys. Because agents, they work their rear ends off, and they're traveling, and they're gone, and you're an absentee dad. It's like a military dad. And when I was really looking at value proposition of life, it was, I want to be a husband and dad. And then so that also drives my business. That's my core, one of my core principles is my job is husband and dad first, and then CEO second. And when I looked up and realized that was more important, I had to turn that down.
Interesting. I'd looked at the CIA because they did on-campus recruiting at the college I went to, and I thought, wow, that kind of sounds cool.
Hey, do you tell the truth? There must have been like some nice-looking candidates or something. Or
well, I said they did on-campus recruiting. I didn't go to it. I thought about it, but I thought, no, that wouldn't probably work for me.
Now, I was a crazy maniac meathead also, so I was trying to go. They have a division called Hostage Rescue Team, which is their SWAT. So I wanted to jump out of helicopters, kick in doors, do the whole thing, go full bore, and which would have been a blast. But when you kind of decide what's more important. But yeah, they didn't do any recruiting. It was just that epiphany moment when you're in college. You just decide that's what I want to be in life, and it drove my GPA up. I worked out like a maniac, didn't do drugs, get into tattoos, all that stuff that college kids do.
Well, you can't have a tattoo and go in the FBI?
Think of it this way. Somebody goes, shoot the man with the charger lightning bolt. I don't want that. I don't need that. So I wanted to be as clean slate as I could possibly be.
Okay.
So let's talk about SMD. What does it mean when you say that I'm not your typical CPA or we're not your typical CPA firm?
It's both personality and style. So it's personality and execution. So personality-wise, we have a very, very unique bunch of people. In fact, a recruiter just this morning had come by to visit yesterday, and she said, you really got an office full of purple unicorns. And that's us. We want people that are not, whatever you think about an accountant, you immediately think, okay, boring, stuffy, can't communicate, no fun. Oh gosh, what did they do wrong in life to become an accountant? How many times did they get beaten up?
Right.
We want to be energetic. We want to be passionate. We want to be good at what we do. So we find people that really want to be amazing, and they want to be amazing and help other people. That's a really key part to what we do. And so that it comes with it a certain flair, a certain personality, a certain type of person. And then in finding those people, you sort of bring a style to working with the client. And then a big part of what we do with the client is we try to be advisors. It says SMD Consulting and Accounting is the company's name. It's on purpose. We are consultants and accountants. There's a lot of amazing tax practitioners. There's phenomenal bookkeepers. There's lots of great people that are technicians. But to take that knowledge and then advise is a different hurdle. And that's sort of what our forte is being good at that.
Somebody told me one time that CPAs are always documenting what's already happened.
Yeah.
But when you talk about consulting, that seems to indicate you're looking forward. So
yes.
How do you reconcile those two?
And I forget the special teams coach for the Dallas Cowboys, but I heard on the radio he had this quote that was really cool.
Joe Alizano?
Joe Alizano, yes. I was going to say Lyle Alzado, but that's Raiders. That's the enemy. Joe Alizano said, I heard him say, there's a reason the rearview mirror is smaller than the windshield. It's more valuable to look forward and figure out where you're going than look back and see what you did. Looking back and seeing what you did helps give perspective. Okay, by executing this plan, it yielded this result, but what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? We have to look back. We have to do tax returns. We have to do books. We have to see what happened and but that metric allows us to make decisions. And so we really work hard to try to be forward-thinking, forward-looking. A lot of people think that means we're going to predict tax laws or we're going to eliminate taxes or we're going to save their world. Not quite, but if you have a plan in place, you can use that rearview mirror a little bit to then figure out what do you want to do going forward.
Save the world. I never thought about that with my CPA before.
See? You got to aim a little higher.
I was wondering what the cape was
typical
for.
CPA.
Yeah, that's in fact, if you go to the website and you look at our team's pictures, there's a icon or the picture at the top. The header is superheroes. It's superhero silhouettes because I have a team full of superheroes. But that's the point: is we want to be heroes whenever we possibly can. Do amazing things and look out for people.
They're literally like cartoon characters.
Yeah.
They're pretty awesome. You got to go check it out.
Oh, yeah. Check out the characters. I'll do a plug for DoritArt.com. Dorit is amazing artist. And that actually came up that we did caricatures instead of photos because an employee went, oh, I don't want a photo. And I kind of felt the same way. He goes, we should do cartoons or something. And it was a brilliant random comment, but that's what we do. And then when you read the bios, I write all the bios. So my employees will say, I want to say I'm from University A and I have this experience. And I say, that's great. And then I destroy it. I make it as goofy as I possibly can because we're not typical CPAs, and that reflects our personality.
So from a recruiting standpoint, that surely makes things difficult for you.
Oh, excruciating. Excruciating. I mean, it's not just hard. It's exceptionally hard. And this marketplace is wildly competitive anyways for finding employees. There's a very simple question we ask. We do lots of interviews and team interviews. The entire team has to sign off on an employee candidate. So if you're applying, understand, Sean only makes about half the decision because everybody has to buy in. Very simple question we ask, are they us? Is that person part of us? If they're not us, they don't come in. It's real simple. I mean, if you are a stuffy, boring accountant, you want to just sit in a corner and fill out forms, you're not us. You're not an advisor.
How many accountants do you have to interview to find a qualified candidate? No, I mean, because we measure this. We're similar in the way to our approach. We want to create an experience, and We're maybe not to the superhero status, but we want to be friendly, positive, fun, professional, and we want our clients to feel freed up and loved by the end of their whatever the interaction is, right? So we have a brand experience. Not everyone can deliver that.
Nope.
Not in the insurance. I imagine that's similar in CPA world. So how do you find? I mean, we have to go through a ton of candidates. I mean, what do
You kiss a lot of frogs.
Do you measure that?
I don't measure it. We just continue to look forward. We keep trying. We're actively hiring for one, maybe two, maybe three positions. We know for sure we're going to hire one more person. I really would like two. But we would rather just wait and find the perfect person or the perfect people to join our team. But there's been times that I've interviewed 30 people to fill one position. And it's not because I want to, my time's valuable. Sure. I don't want to sit in interviews. My headhunters and my staffing companies, they sort of know who we are, and they screen very, very heavily. I know they're going through hundreds of resumes before they even bring me a candidate. And it's a process. It's a very elaborate process. But a lot of it is just who you are. Who you are matters more than what your resume says.
What about on the client side? Do you also have to screen out to make sure you have the right kind of client? Because maybe not everybody thinks they need what you provide.
Yeah. I don't know what your G rating is. Are you PG-13?
It's a family show.
Okay, it's a family show. So we have a no jerk policy. We use a different term, but we have a no jerk policy. If you're a jerk, I don't care how much money you make. I don't care what you do. If you say, "Do you know who I am?" I probably don't want you as a client.
Oh.
This job is really, really hard. I mean, we deal with the IRS. We're dealing with money issues. It can be very, very stressful.
But they're really nice, and it's super easy. And
the IRS.
Yeah, the IRS is they just giant fuzz. Actually, you know what? I don't want to.
Sure, some of them are.
Many of them are actually really very good professionals.
Yeah.
In fact, one of my interns became a
rap.
revenue agent for several years, and he was a great guy. But it's a hard job. I don't need anything to make it any more difficult. My employees know we have their back. You do not get to call and scream and curse at my employees. You don't get to call and scream and curse at me. We're professionals. Let's do this. We are working together. In fact, actually, I tell a lot of clients is they don't realize we stress out probably more than you do in many cases. We're so worried on your behalf that really no other CPA, and I can honestly say this, no other CPA cares more about their clients.
So I can outsource my worrying?
You could outsource your work. It has a really high billing rate, but we do allow you to do that.
So speaking of billing, I mean, do you bill in a similar way that other CPAs do, even though you're doing a expanded service?
Yep. Just hourly. It's real simple. We bill for the time that we spend. You need us for 3 hours. Great, you bill for 3 hours. You pay for what you use. It's really clean, really easy. Some people don't understand how long it takes to do the work, so we do our best to communicate that. A lot of people think all you do is fill out forms. If you ever want to insult an accountant, just say, all you do is fill out forms.
Well, yes, you were TurboTax, right?
That's right. That's why we went to school and I have over 20 years of experience at this stage. It's just filling out forms. It's a process. It takes time, and we are very, very fair. And it's back to the quote. If you're honest about what you do, when you see, hey, it took you 4 hours to do this, yeah, it really did. Because quite frankly, I don't want to argue about an invoice. I don't want to take that time because I know those numbers are right. We honestly spent 4 hours. That's what it was. And there's no games. And it makes it really, really simple and clean.
Well, we're going to go to a break, but before we do, what do you do when your business that you totally thought you'd stay out of ends up being 25% or more of your revenue? Stick around.
And now, Confessions of a Recovering Landlord.
This is Bob Gibbons with Riata Commercial Realty, and I am your recovering landlord. After 20 years as a landlord, I now use that experience only for the benefit of companies that lease or buy office buildings and warehouses. Today's confession: knowledge is power. We all negotiate from a position of power and strength, or at least we want to. In any negotiation, the party with the most knowledge probably has the upper hand. And landlords count on this being the case whenever you're negotiating a lease, because most landlords are professional real estate investors and they hire professional leasing agents and property managers. Landlords are in the market every day negotiating leases, while tenants probably only negotiate 1, maybe 2 leases every few years. So tenants feel outgunned. Don't let landlords have all the power. As a former landlord for 20 years, I understand how landlords think and what motivates them. So let me put that knowledge and experience to work on your side of the negotiation. To learn more, contact me at texastenantrep.com. Again, that's texastenantrep.com.
Have you started making plans to take your business to the next level in 2016? Hi, I'm Stephen Nooner, founder and CEO of Alkali. We have a trademark process called the Empowered Advantage that enables CEOs, business owners, and entrepreneurs to more effectively buy and manage their insurance. Before sitting down to make your plans for the new year, here are just a few things to consider. Would you say that you have an actual insurance strategy, one that you can articulate, or have you just purchased a policy here and there over the years? If you have an insurance strategy, was it discussed under the pressure of a renewal deadline or considered earlier in the year to avoid fire drill decision making? If your answer was no to either of these questions, then you may not have the right partner on your team. Visit alkaliservices.com to contact us and take the next step to a bigger and better future.
Hi, my name is Rick Heller, CEO of Freshlock Technologies and Wello Inc. And I greatly appreciate the time Steve and Bob gave on the show. And the comedy was so high, I had to check myself for a fever.
Welcome back to the Next Level Conversations That Propel Business. We're here with our special guest, Sean Duncan, SMD Consulting and Accounting LLC. And you can find him online at smdaccounting.com.
Good thing you didn't have to spell that, Bob.
That's, I'm good.
You can use CPAFrisco.com. That's a cheat sheet version.
Oh, that works.
Yeah,
Shortcut.
look at you.
Yeah.
Look at you.
I like
it's like
that.
TexasTenantRep.com. It's so fancy.
But see, we're more international, so I didn't want to limit us just to Frisco.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, before we went to the break, kind of the hook is I found it really interesting in preparing for this that you do a fair amount of bookkeeping, but you weren't looking to do any bookkeeping. So tell us about how that happened, how that evolved, and how it equated, something you didn't want to be in equated to be over 25% of your revenue.
So when I started my business, I'm a business consultant that happens to be a CPA, and that's really a big part of our personality. And so I wanted to advise and help with the tax returns. The tax returns is a strategy element, but I wanted to be an advisor. That was my job. Bookkeeping, critical, necessary. Oh my gosh, you cannot overstate the value of good bookkeeping and financials. I can't do any decision making without the information. Took for granted that clients already also understood that and they would do that themselves. So when I started my business, I was going to focus on those two segments. But when clients kept asking for books, all I did was, you know what, I'll find you a bookkeeper, whatever they charge me, I'll just pass through, make it a break-even proposition. I'm not trying to make money off of this. Right. So I would subcontract to bookkeepers. Well, I run my darn pie charts. I ran a little pie chart on my revenue for that year, and I look at the pie chart and the pie slice comes out, 1/4 of it was bookkeeping. And it does, when you think about it, if I was just passing that through, I was making $0 on 25% of my activity, and which means you're actually losing money. If you're making $0, I'm still spending time. I'm probably writing off time. I'm trying to communicate. So it really dawned on me that there was a massive need, and the clients basically spoke up and said, we need this through their requests. And so that was my second hiring, was a bookkeeper. I hired a person that was predominantly a bookkeeper that also could do taxes. Hi, Leslie, if you're listening. And then we took it off from there, and it has grown to a massive segment of our firm. It's actually, as the firm has grown substantially, it still almost always plays into 25%.
Why do you, I have my ideas, but why do you think that so many business owners don't understand the importance of good, clean books?
Because business owners do what they do. If you're an amazing architect, I'm a great lawyer, I'm a phenomenal doctor, that's what you do. To run a business, it's always more than doing what you do. When you are a business owner, you are actually a business owner first. You might be the best brain surgeon in the entire world, but if you choose to step out and say, I'm now going to have my own practice, you are also CEO, your marketing guru, your IT guy, until such time as you replace that person. And that's what happens. You start a new business, you're everything. And everybody falls to their comfort zone. And their comfort zone is, I'm going to go be an amazing artist. I'm going to be a photographer. I'm going to, whatever it is you decide you're going to do, you lean on that. And the thing to walk away from, because it's intimidating, is taxes, accounting, bookkeeping. It's, numbers. How many times have you heard somebody go, oh, numbers, they just stress me out? And it's very, very easy to ignore that which stresses you out. And so it's almost always pushed off to the side because of in fact, actually using your thing of looking backwards. Oh, well, the year's already over with. I have money in the bank, so I'm fine. Well, that's fine. You have money in the bank, but you don't know anything else. And it's also, it's not what they're trained on. It's not what you know. If you know how to do photography, you know how to open a nail salon or run a restaurant, you might not even know what a P&L is. And that's actually why I created seminars. And a very large part of my job is teaching. Very large part of my job is teaching.
So who is your ideal client?
Ideal client is typically the service-based professional. We specifically target the micro and small business owner. So how is that defined? It's you're less than 10 million in revenue. If you make less than 10 million in revenue, you're considered a micro business or a small business. You're small potatoes. There are amazing firms here in town that focus on the $5 million to $500 million segment. And of course, there's giant firms. You can find consultants falling out of the sky if you make $100 million a year. But when you're mom and pop, and we'll say in quotes, and here's my air quote moment, you only made $500,000 this year. Nobody's advising. And it is shocking to me. And so my ideal client is that person that is underserved. They're starting a business. They're growing a business. They feel like I need to have somebody on my side to talk. We sometimes, in fact, a call I had yesterday had nothing to do with taxes and accounting. The guy wanted to bounce his business idea around. And that's what our role is to be there at the hub of your questions. If I don't do it, I can get you to the attorney, I can get you to the financial advisor, but at least be part of that dialogue. And so our ideal client is typically a service-based professional. If I want to tag a number to it, their household income is anywhere between $100,000 and $2 million a year. They are wanting to grow, and then we're back to the no jerk rule. It doesn't matter what industry. We have lots of doctors and lawyers and like I said, service, but we also have manufacturing. We've got restaurants. We've got distribution. I've got clients in other states and other countries. At its heart, I want good people. I want to work with good people that want to be successful. Because if I give you advice or we give you ideas on, hey, you can execute plan A, B, and C, and you go, not going to do it, then what was the point? We have a lady, and I won't go into a long story, that she was embezzled from for 20 years under her prior CPA's watch, comes in, we keep trying to teach her how to watch these financials, how to set up procedures to make sure to protect herself. You know, she'd since fired that employee and dealing with a lawsuit. She has paid for and not attended 2 seminars, didn't pay for and not attended 3 more seminars that she registered for that I taught about how to run the business. We had a moment where we actually had in October, November, and December, something like 5 appointments we had scheduled to meet with her to sit down and talk about the financials and talk about what's going on and plan for the taxes. Cancels every single one of them.
Unbelievable.
And clearing very, very good money. Really, really well known in the community in what she does. Amazing at her job. Refuses to own that business. And we're actually at this crossroads where we love her. I mean, this is what I talk about. We fret about this client. We sweat that, oh my gosh, we know she's not going to get robbed, but she has no strategy. There's no taxes. The things she could do with this business are amazing, but she doesn't because she falls into her comfort zone. And it's really frustrating. And we're really to that point to where does she need to be a client? We want to be available to help her, but if we keep giving you advice over the years and you ignore every single thing, when it comes tax time and you have a surprise on your tax bill because you didn't follow the strategy we thought you had implemented, what are you going to do? And it really breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to come out of that meeting and tell that client, well, ma'am, you owe $120,000. And the question is why? Well, why is the stuff that we had in that meeting 6 months ago?
See, the interesting thing about that story to me is that sometimes I see clients that think that they know as much or more than the professional they've hired to advise them. And so they take your advice and then they kind of push it to one side and do what they want to anyway. But in this case, you're talking about somebody who isn't really doing that. They're just
willfully ignores it.
Yeah, willful ignoring.
And you as the business owner have the right to do whatever you want with the information we give you. I mean, we don't. It's your business. I can give you ideas. Here's what I would do. Here, I never will tell you what to do. We give you choices and consequences. But this is your show. This is your baby. That's your thing to do. But yeah, to be summarily ignored is exceedingly frustrating.
I summarily ignore my tenant rep all the time.
But not when he's talking about real estate.
Yeah.
My wife summarily ignores me, so I kind of on the flip side of that.
So tell us, we're kind of on this, breakdown pattern here, because that's a breakdown, not necessarily for you guys, but it's just not being able to get a client to comply. Tell us about a breakdown that's maybe turned into a breakthrough for you guys.
A breakdown that came a breakthrough. Gosh, what's funny is a business owner, you're going to screw up. You're going to screw up over and over and over again. And it really is just pick yourself up and dust yourself off.
Amen.
I got dozens of ideas in my head. To pick one, just picking the wrong employee. People are what they are. And had an employee that I thought was amazing. The resume was phenomenal. 10 years of public accounting experience, 10 years of working at the actual software provider developer that runs most of our software on tech support, technical answering. 20 years of experience in specifically our software, how it works, in addition to was rude, was belittling to clients, and was disrespectful to coworkers, late to work, everything. And again, you look at this resume. And so one of the big breakdowns is continuing to think, well, it's learning curve. Oh, we need to train her. We need to coach her. No, she wasn't us. That's one that comes to mind, is just making sure we stick to our guns. We have a vision, we have a purpose, we know what we are, stay with what we are, and honor that.
My wife likes to say, if somebody tells you who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
Because they're probably not going to change if they've already told you by their actions or whatever.
Yeah.
And so anyway.
And if
That's good.
Yeah,
Gotta write that down.
People are very
Jane
introspective. People are more introspective than they realize sometimes. They know who they are. And if they don't know who they are, well, then you'll find it out quick enough through their actions.
What's one of the craziest things that a client's asked you to do or tried to deduct that you just said, I can't do that?
Oh, goodness. You did say G-rated show, but I've got to actually say this. So there are only 2 professions that allow breast augmentation as a deduction, and I don't have those clients. This woman, true story. After telling her she couldn't write off her Sub-Zero refrigerator, I could tell her she couldn't write off her $3,000 washer and dryer, she couldn't write off her kitchen remodel in her house, and telling her $30,000 of landscaping around her pool also don't qualify as reasonable deductions. After that conversation, she was trying to write off, and I'm not making this number up, $14,000 breast augmentation. And her reason was it was a business expense because it increased her sales. Well, ma'am, I'm sure it increases your sales, but it's still not a deduction. But that's why I did it. And we had this long conversation. But at the end of the conversation, I said, well, I'll tell you what. She insisted. She has to write this off. That's why she paid so much. It's really dramatically increased her business. And I said, well, how about we do it this way? Like a car, do you have a schedule of when you use them for business reasons versus personal reasons? And she said, no! Oh my gosh, no, I don't! And I said, oh my gosh, no, I can't do that deduction either.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
I didn't win a friend that day, but we all were entertained nonetheless.
Yeah, it's a great story. Well, we're getting close to a close here, but I know you're a future thinker, and I always like to end with this question. If we're sitting here 3 years from now, we're looking back to today, what needs to happen personally, professionally, for you to be satisfied with the progress?
You know what? I actually had a real epiphany last week. So I took a month-long vacation. I went to Thailand, had some amazing opportunities. I came back and was telling my office manager and my tax manager, my bookkeeping manager, I want to get myself into a position where I'm working 4 hours a day, which they already have all known. So what I want is 2016, I want to leave at 4, 17, I want to leave at 3, 18, I want to leave at 2. I want this progress. I want to be dad and husband. That's my job. My job is dad and husband. And they looked up and said, you know, Sean, we just spent an entire month without you here. We have this. We got this. Why don't you start leaving at 2? And so what I was supposed to be saying in 3 years that I've done this, my team is so good at what they do that they actually said, start now. And so changing that plan is in 3 years, I should be working 4 hours a day. My job is to be home with my wife and my kids, and CEO obviously is really, really important, but I want to be with my family.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thanks so much for being our guest today, Sean. We really enjoyed it. For our listeners, if you'd like to learn more about Sean's business, please go to smdaccounting.com or what was it, FriscoCPA.com?
CPAFrisco.com.
CPA Frisco, okay.
Yeah, the other one got bought, sorry.
If you heard something, maybe just a funny story about the schedule that you want to share along with others, please like it on Facebook, help spread the word, and have a great week. Bye.
You have been listening to The Next Level, Conversations That Propel Business with Stephen Nooner and Bob Gibbons. Join us every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. for more prolific conversations that will take your business to the next level.